Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And good news. Good news. We are no longer the forgotten generation. We're actually going to be the most important generation to Hollywood. Yeah, Gen X is the most important generation to Hollywood going forward. So you better do what we want.
Hey, they finally acknowledge we exist.
They finally acknowledge we exist. So we're going to talk about this. This is coming from a rap. And they're like, yeah, it's so weird. Everybody's talking about chasing millennials and Gen Z, but they're not thinking about Gen X. And there's an awful lot of us out there. And all these legacy brands like, Star Wars and all that stuff. Yeah, those were ours. Right?
Yeah.
So you better start listening. You better start listening if you want our money, because we actually, a lot of us, have disposable income. Gen Z does not have disposable income.
Some do.
Some
but
do.
Not a lot.
Influencers selling crap on TikTok.
Millennials do.
Do they? They always complain they can't buy houses.
Well, I think now it's Gen Z, because millennials now are going to be like in their late 20s and up. Because we're at the very end.
Yeah, we're at the tail end.
You and I are like the tail end of it.
They call them Zennials, I guess.
Well, we're not quite Zennial. I think my sister's like a Zennial, but we're like close to that. So we're the very, very
end. We're
end.
the ass end of
so
Gen X.
People that are only a few years younger than us are the top of the millennials.
Yeah.
So Gen Z's go into the 20s now.
Yeah,
so they're like 24 or something like that now. Yeah,
that's scary. Yeah, so let's talk about this. This is interesting. This is you better listen to us. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, yeah, woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we'll talk about this, and I also wanted to bring up, if we need to talk about more stuff, YouTube becoming the first streaming platform to break 10% of total viewing, and a lot of that I think is Gen X. I know that the Gen X audience is highly coveted by YouTube. So yeah, this is the forgotten generation. Why entertainment executives shouldn't overlook Gen X in the streaming evolution. Well, they don't. They actually get very mad when Gen X does live streams complaining about their shows.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying. Like they need Gen X demographic. I'm like, right here, bitches. Anyway, no, but it's like, yeah, they keep chasing Gen Z.
Yes,
and that's what Hollywood keeps chasing. But then it turns out Gen Z isn't watching these things. Gen Z is going to TikTok and all that stuff. Streaming services keep neglecting. They keep going to millennials. They always talk about boomers, but they always forget Gen X.
Yeah. Now, we're definitely on the younger end of it, because they're saying, hey, it might come as a surprise to some that Americans age 50 and older.
Yeah, we're not over 50.
No.
So.
Which includes a significant portion of Gen X, now account for over 40% of streaming watch time as of mid-2024, according to Nielsen. This marks a substantial increase from previous years, reflecting a growing trend among this demographic. Netflix, Hulu, and Roku are increasingly becoming the go-to entertainment sources for Gen X, many of whom are embracing the digital shift with enthusiasm. Well, we grew up with computers. We grew up with the internet.
Right. We grew up with the internet, and then we also, the internet started when we were kids, teens or whatever. And then, we also, we grew up watching TV. A lot of the kids now, they didn't watch TV like we did. Like, we remember when we didn't have, you might have had satellite or cable, but you didn't have, digital stuff. Like, you didn't have the streaming services. You didn't have, YouTube and all that crap. Yeah. So it makes sense.
They're saying that Gen X is actually, well, it's so weird because I talk about this all the time, how I watch Roku and Tubi. Mm-hmm. And, so I'm always watching Retro Crush, like literally my channels. It's either going to be a paranormal streaming service, it's going to be Retro Crush anime, or it's going to be one of the Star Trek channels.
Old Doctor Who. Doctor
Who, classic Doctor Who.
Every night.
I watch, there's like 5 channels I watch, and I don't really, I'm sorry. Hey, the dog likes Tom Baker, and the dog loves Patrick Stewart. The dog loves Patrick.
But you call him Pickard.
Pickard.
Anyway.
He loves Pickard, yeah.
Yeah. I just think it makes sense that Gen X would do this, because we grew up in a time where we would embrace, it's like a bridge. Does that make sense? Like, they bridge the two different, but the generation everybody forgets, but technically we bridged both, the streaming and the pre-streaming. You know what I mean? Yeah,
but I mean, we're still used to just set it and forget it, having TV on the background. I mean, when I was a kid, it was like I always had MTV or something, Nickelodeon or something on the background, and that's the same here. Like, I'll turn on Pickard, and I'll kind of drift in and out. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember this one. This is the one where, Worf goes to the Old West or whatever. But
that was on last night.
It was on last night. Yeah. I haven't seen that one in a long time. But they said why it should matter to Hollywood executives. So it does. Basically, they want Gen X's money. They want our eyeballs, but they don't want to actually give us what we want.
They don't want to pretend. They want our money. They just don't want to pretend we exist.
Yeah. They said understanding their own. They said a lot of people working in Hollywood now are Gen X, but we have a lot of younger people that think that they know what, we're going to take this classic show and we're going to make it for modern audiences.
I would even say older millennials. I think I would count into this too, personally.
Yeah. Older millennials, definitely. Because it's so weird. And then Gen Z, like, they're going back to watching the stuff we watched.
They are. That's what's so funny. We have the older millennials and Gen X, with the retro stuff. And so is the Gen Z.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the very younger millennials. So it's funny to me because basically they're all just going to what we did anyway. And that's why they want them so bad. And they're saying we have deep sense of nostalgia for the media of our youth. And we like classic TV shows. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Airwolf all day long, bitch. Yeah.
Well, look at Tubi. Like, so much of the content on Tubi is the stuff that we, watched growing up. I mean, we have a lot of classic, like NBC action shows and sitcoms and lots of classic movies and stuff like that. They said that, Netflix had a huge success with Cobra Kai.
Yes.
And bringing back popular 80s, 90s movies. Now, double-edged sword. You got to do it right.
I was going to say, but they did it right. That's what I was going to say.
Disney did not do it right with Star Wars. They brought Star Wars back, but it was a corpse. Star Trek. Other than season 3 of Picard, most of the new Star Trek has not been very good. But you got to have somebody that gets it. And they're putting, I think in a lot of cases, they're putting younger people in charge that did not grow up with this stuff. So they're like, oh, I like the idea of, I'm just throwing one out here. I like the idea of She-Ra. I like the idea of Transformers. But if only it were for me and my generation. But it's not. And that's the thing. I never understood about these reboots and reimaginings and shit is that.
But for the modern audience.
For the modern audience. The modern audience has no attachment to it. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to try to milk Gen X, you're going to have to.
Don't recommend it. You'll get hit.
You'll get hit. But you're going to have to give us what we want, right? You can't give us a pale imitation of something when we know better. And have some 32-year-old tell us, well, I know better than you do because this is I always wanted to see myself in the Ninja Turtles.
I think it's more like a 20-something, but yes.
Yeah, and it's like, no, you weren't around. You don't understand. You have no fucking idea what this is about. You don't have any respect for the people that came before you, so shut the fuck up. You're actually better off not rebooting this stuff than doing it badly. Because we'll watch a rerun.
Yeah, I was like, just play the reruns. It's cheaper, and you'll still get the same kind of,
return
on your investment.
Disney could have just bought Star Wars and just like gave us, original trilogy merch, and we'd still buy it. And I wouldn't hate Star Wars like I do now.
Ewoks, I'd be all over it.
But they said that, Gen X are the most financially constrained at this point. They have disposable income, but it's going to their aging parents and their adult children, and then they're trying to retire too. But we can still buy houses. Most of us have houses, so.
Rub it in. I'm not trying
to rub it in. I'm just saying, like, we could afford to buy houses.
It's an audience that, will respond well to different, like, bundlings and discounts.
Yes. And
they'll stay engaged. Unlike other things the other people who might not. They're an engaged audience that you can promote to.
It said Gen X might not be as tech obsessed as millennials or Gen Z, but they
Gen
are
A.
or Gen A. I forget that's the thing. But they are far from technophobes. We are the generation that was first introduced to computers. We grew up with the internet. I remember the Apple IIe coming around on the push cart to all the classrooms. We had to share the Apple IIe.
I had a Commodore at home back when they were really expensive. Most people didn't have them. So I was on computers before, like, the schools were even on the computers that much.
That knowing your dad, that doesn't surprise me.
He was my dad, yes.
Yeah, he was into whatever the newest gadget was.
He had it, like, it was my dad. But he was all about electronics and technology, and he used to go to Radio Shack, which they're bringing Radio Shack back, by the way. I'm so flipping excited.
And Toys R Us.
If we can just bring malls back and save the malls, I'll be happy. But we used to go to Radio Shack, and he'd go to the clearance bins or the return bins. People would not know how to use something, or something would be short circuited or something, and he would get the stuff out of it, and he'd get it really cheap, and he'd bring it home and he'd fix it. So we had Shackwave. And we had a couple of those.
Oh, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Transformers, Shockwave, they had a gray version. It was like Galaxy Man or something. It was like a knockoff version they sold at Radio Shack, and people joke and they call them Shackwave.
Yeah, we had 2 or 3 of those. I love that's still my favorite one to this day. And we used to get all kinds of stuff, and my dad could fix it.
Remember
so
Tandy?
He loved that stuff, huh?
Tandy computers.
Tandy,
they had their
I
own
do remember
comic
Tandy.
book. They had their own like computer
I didn't remember
Whiz
the comic
Kids
book, but WizKids, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, they used to give them out at school. Like, go buy go bug your. It wasn't like go bug your parents for $5. It was like go bug your parents for thousands of dollars to buy a Radio Shack brand computer.
They were new, so they were expensive.
They were very
and I remember
expensive.
this is nothing bad, but the things they used to send home with us. Do you remember the one that was the trick or treat safety book? It was like be safe, be seen at Halloween. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Well,
I'm going down Gen X memory lane here. Let's just go back to the point.
This is interesting. It said Generation X matters now more than ever.
That's right, bitches.
Freaking time. As streaming becomes increasingly central to how people consume media, the competition for viewers' attention is fiercer than ever. While most of the focus has been on capturing millennials and Gen Z, Gen X represents a substantial and growing segment of the streaming audience. Okay. They may be financially strapped. No, I think we're actually better off.
I think everybody's financially strapped.
I think everybody
though.
is.
I mean, let's be honest here. I'm so tired of hearing that. Well, millennials can't afford a house. Gen Z can't afford this. Neither can Gen X, as these articles are pointing out. And you know what? Boomers are on retirement money. They can't afford jack shit either. I mean, this whole idea that there's this magical group that can afford everything. It's every generation. It's like a sliding scale. Some people can afford, some people can't. That's the way it is for every other generation too.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you. It's not like one generation has all the money. That's not how it is.
The greatest generation, a lot of them, they went and they fought in the war, and then they came home and they bought a little house in the suburbs and raised their families.
Money stretched further then.
It did.
They do have that. That is true. It was easier for them to get houses and stuff. 100% true. But this whole idea that only, Gen Z and millennials are cash strapped and everything else is not true at all. Anyway, continue.
Anyway, they said basically Gen X, their media consumption habits are a bellwether for the broader industry. They said that they're embracing streaming.
Especially ad supported because, fast is free ad supported tier. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Advertised video on demand. Is that what AVOD is? I just know what fast is, but yes.
Yeah. So for entertainment executives, the message is clear. Their own generation may be the forgotten one, but it should be top of mind when it comes to developing strategies for growth and streaming. So I have to wonder, since a lot of entertainment executives now are Gen X or even older, are they trying to play it like they're not obsolete? Like, hey there, fellow kids. I'm one of you. I'm the hip one. I know what the 20 and 30-year-olds want. And is this because of ageism in Hollywood? We do know
what the 20 and 30-some-year-olds want. They want our shows from the 90s.
They want our shows, but they want to bastardize our shows.
No, they maybe, yes. They want it, but they also want the shows. Because they said the Gen Xers know the quality content. They have a deep appreciation for quality content.
Yeah.
Because we were the originals. Like our generation were the ones that they're trying so hard to imitate now.
Yes.
And successfully. You cannot relive the 80s and this maybe in the 70s. It's just not, and even the 90s. It's not going to happen because we already did it. And no matter how many times you take this thing and change it, it's not going to have the same charm, the same product of its time, everything that was then. And the thing is, even your kids today, they don't want your new bastardized version of it. They want the original version of it. Unless you're part of whatever super far leftist identities they're shoving into it. And then that's your representation. But the majority of people, when they have choice to watch something, let's go watch Friends. Let's go watch, older shows all the time.
It's
even
where
the early
Golden
2000s
Girls,
shows.
Golden Girls went through a whole phase where there's all this Golden Girls
Friends,
merchandise.
And everybody wants to watch now, even I'd say the 2000s stuff now, Parks and Rec, Community.
Gilmore Girls. Yeah, our kids
Gilmore Girls, yes.
Our kids watch more Parks and Rec and Community than they do The Office, than they do anything else.
Yes, The Office. Yeah, those are examples. Those things are what they're watching. Yeah. And the things from the 80s and the 90s. And that's what they're watching. And that's what, everybody wants, what was it? Who was the shirt you were saying about the other day that everybody's, Billy freaking Joel now. That's
Billy
like they're
Joel,
all
when did Billy Joel become a thing
they're
again?
all on Billy Joel stuff now.
There's
They're
Billy
like,
Joel
listen to
t-shirts at Walmart. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like Billy Joel?
Billy Joel. And like, you know, you see like Journey, and Journey's always popular. I'm like, I just got made fun of for liking Journey.
Def Leppard stuff.
They had baby. They had outfits for babies that had Def Leppard on it at Walmart.
I am old enough to remember when the drummer from Def Leppard had 2 arms. That's how old I am. But no, I had to explain. Like, seriously, Pinky Boo asked me the story. Tell me the story. Tell me the legend of the one-armed drummer from Def Leppard.
Tell me the story, Dad.
And I had to explain, well, once upon a time, the drummer had 2 arms. And then the drummer got drunk or something and crashed his sports car, and then he had 1 arm. And it was very odd when I was a kid to see the new Def Leppard video and be like, where'd his arm go? But damn it, he was good.
You know what, Jen, you can't keep us down, man. We'll make it work. I'm just saying, you know, we're scrappy.
The Osbournes, even. I mean, it's like, what the fuck?
I just love how he went from don't invoke Gen X to, oh, quick, go get, oh shit, we're in trouble, go get Gen X.
Gen X will save your ass. We always do, and then we get no thanks for it. You know?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so YouTube, this is why I think, this is just a theory I have. I think we're seeing a change on YouTube. Like when YouTube first started, it seemed like it was like, hey, there, you know, it's a bunch of kids and a bunch of whatever. All the younger people, I think, are going to TikTok. YouTube now, some of the most successful YouTubers are older. There are a lot of them. I mean, some of them have been
you used to be called boomers a few years ago, and now
they used to call you boomers. Like, what are you doing? You're too old for. Like, I thought we were too old for YouTube, and I'm like, hell no. There's people that are older than us on YouTube. You got Rhett and Link, and they're still doing. Now, I think they're trying too hard to look like they're younger, right? Like, what's with the hair, dude? Seriously. But like, I think it's because, yeah, a lot of our generation are watching YouTube, and YouTube isn't young. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, like, yeah, it started, you know, what, 2005, 2006. Yeah. So we're talking almost 20 years of YouTube. So and
our generation's been with it the whole time.
We've been with it the whole time. A lot of our generation started. They were like the OG YouTubers.
I'd say us and millennials have been with it the whole time.
Yeah. So yeah, it's becoming more and more important. We're a highly coveted demographic, so don't fucking piss us off. You know, don't piss us off or we'll kick your ass, right?
And we are with the lords of YouTube.
Well, we are kicking their ass. We're kicking their ass on YouTube, and we're kicking Hollywood's ass. And most of the people that are kicking Hollywood's ass are Gen X, because we're tired of this shit, and we're tired of the shitty reboots, and we're tired of everything being a pale imitation of what we grew up with. And you're better off not doing it at all than to do it badly. So yeah, listen to us. That's all.
We're wrapping this up.
We're wrapping it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.